Today in the Spare Tech Room, we are going to take a look at the Fujifilm X-M5. That's right, we're going to crack this box open and take a look at the pretty new Fujifilm X-M5. We're going to walk through everything that you get in the box when you purchase one yourself. And then, of course, we'll take a walk around the camera. And I might even share a few things that you will want to pick up with this particular camera to make sure that you have the best possible experience. And for those that are unaware, I have been kind of bouncing back and forth between Fujifilm and Sony for a few years now. I've mostly landed on Sony, but I cannot hold out any longer. The Fujifilm X-M5 is something that has absolutely piqued my interest, especially with how absolutely small this camera is supposed to be. So let's go ahead and crack it open and take a look inside. Now, this has been really difficult to find. It's kind of always out of stock everywhere you look. I was able to find it certified, refurbished on Amazon, so that's why it looks like the box already has been kind of opened and everything. But I have been assured that it should be in completely like new condition. So let's open this up. We've got a couple of QR codes here for you to scan if you want to get to the manual or the app in order to run this, the Fuji X app. And of course, inside of here, a bit more information. This is to let you know, let's see here, where to access all of this on the web, product information, where to register your product, all that fun stuff. Then, of course, user manuals and, the free trial for Capture One, which is a really good software. If you like to edit your photos and you're using Lightroom, for example, Capture One is a really good photo editing software that works wonderfully with Fujifilm cameras. So that's pretty solid that it comes with a free trial there. Then we'll go ahead and pull this piece of cardboard back. And of course, we have the camera here. Aside from the camera, though, you do have a couple other things in here. One, of course, is the battery that comes with it. Now, this is the, let's see, what's the name of this battery? It's the NP-W126S, which is kind of a notorious battery at this point for Fujifilm. It is their smaller battery, so you're not going to get a ton of life out of this. And one of the things that I definitely recommend you pick up if you are going to buy this or any of the other Fujifilm cameras that come with the smaller battery, or really any camera in general, is make sure you're getting some spare batteries. It's just good to have a couple spares, and you can get some non-branded ones, some ones that are not specifically Fujifilm branded batteries for pretty cheap now. So I highly recommend you pick up some of those. I'll link to the ones that I grabbed in the description box below, and I might even do a video going over maybe my top 5 accessories that I recommend you pick up with this camera. If you want to see that video, let me know in the comments below. But we'll set that battery aside for now. Then, of course, you get kind of the standard Fujifilm branded neck strap that comes with it, which is fine. It will work. I like to use my own neck strap that has Peak Design attachments on it, but this will work totally fine as well. We've got that set aside. And then, of course, the actual camera, which is what we've all come here for. And shout out to Fuji for kind of using this recyclable cardboard box here. I guess they're trying to help with their carbon footprint, but we'll set the box aside and then just slip the camera out of this very noisy bag, toss that bag to the side, and let's take a look around here. Yeah, sure enough, it looks like everything is in good condition. I'm not seeing any scuffs or scratches or anything like that. We'll take a look at the screen as well to make sure. And yep, I'm not seeing any damage or anything to the screen, so that's really great. But let's walk around this camera. First off, first impressions, just holding this in my hand. This is super tiny. Holy cow. This is kind of insane how small this is. I also have a Sony a7C II, which is kind of like my main camera at this time, and that is supposed to be a fairly small camera. This is insane how much smaller this is. Actually, let me grab my a7C II so we can do a little bit of a comparison. All right, here's my a7C II compared to the Fujifilm X-M5. And right off the bat, just holding these things in the hand, you can absolutely tell that this is a much beefier camera than this is. Of course, you have the grip, which is just going to be deeper in general, but overall, it's just a heavier, thicker camera. Now, of course, this is not a comparison video, so I'll set this aside for now, but I just want to kind of give you an idea of the size of this thing. So, okay, let's walk around the camera. We will start in the front here. On the very front of the camera, you have a little bit of what I believe is a tally light right there. You've got your scroll wheel, which will work for ISO, aperture, or to change your picture profile or your film simulation, as they call them in the Fuji world. This dial scrolls, and you can also click into it in order to swap between aperture and ISO and all of that. So that's kind of fun there that you have multi-purposes with that one dial. You have the lens cap cover right here, which of course, when you pull that off, you're going to see your 20 6 megapixel APS-C size sensor and the little lens release button right here. So you can take lenses off of there fairly easily. We'll put that back on. I don't like to keep the sensor revealed for any longer than I absolutely have to. Of course, at the very front, you have a little bit of X-M5 badging right here. Now, the X-M5 is the follow-up to the Fujifilm X-M1 that came out, I want to say like 10 or 12 years ago, something like that. And a bit odd that they didn't just go with X-M2, but I guess they kind of wanted to stay in line with the X-T5 and the X-T50. So they went X-M5 for whatever reason. Also on the front, you can kind of see here, there is a little bit of a grip. It's absolutely not much. If you kind of look at how much that comes out, it is not a lot at all. And we'll talk a little bit about how it feels in the hand in just a bit. But that is the front side here. And if you're looking for exact dimensions, we've got a measuring tape right here. This is, what is that, like a little over about 4.5 inches. Do I have centimeters on here? Yes, I do. So centimeters, here, we'll do it this way to make it a little easier. Centimeters, we're looking at about 11. So 11 centimeters long ways. Then top to bottom, we're looking at about 6.5 centimeters, maybe a little bit, yeah, about 6.5 centimeters. And then your depth at its thickest point, which is gonna be right here on where the side where the handle is. Oh, that's harder to say because it does curve, but I'm gonna go with maybe 3.5 centimeters there. So yes, a very, very small camera. Let's go ahead and flip it around to the side here. On this side, you have a little attachment point here where you can attach a wrist strap or a neck strap or what have you. You don't get any of those dangly bits that you often get on cameras. So they're keeping it pretty clean, pretty simple here. You have what appears to be maybe a speaker on this side. On the opposite side, you have another one of those attachment points. You have a headphone jack, which is that looks like a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, which is great. Then below that, you have a USB-C charging / data port and a micro HDMI port right there. Of course, we didn't expect full-size HDMI on here. That would be absolutely insane. These ports do feel a little cheap, I'm going to be honest. I would be a bit concerned that they might break over time if you're not gentle with them. But of course, this camera is an $800 camera. It's not meant to be made out of incredibly durable materials. It is mostly plastic. So, you know, be careful with it. Don't roughhouse with this thing. At the bottom of the camera, we have one of my biggest gripes, which is the kind of mounting screw hole right here, which is right up against the battery door, which is definitely going to make it difficult if you have this mounted to a tripod and you want to access your battery or your SD card, which are both in here. You're going to have to remove it from the actual tripod completely, or if you have maybe something attached to this that is then connected to a tripod like a quick release plate, you're gonna have to remove it entirely unless you go with something like this, which is for my A7C camera, but this is a Ulanzi plate that you can basically attach to the bottom here, and it will move the mounting port right over more towards the center, so that way you can easily access your battery and your SD card, not your micro SD, your SD card, without having to remove the plate or anything like that, or remove it from the tripod. So just a sneak peek, that is going to be one of the 5 things that I highly recommend you pick up with this camera. But in here, we have the battery port where we'll just go ahead and drop our battery in, so that way we have that. And we have the SD card slot right here. Wait, is there an SD card in there already? Oh, there is. Hey, lucky. We've got a 128 gig SD card. Hey, sometimes it pays to buy things refurbished or used. That is actually kind of awesome. I just got a free SD card out of this. I'm very stoked about that. But one thing you should keep in mind when it comes to the Fujifilm X-M5, they do only take UHS 1 memory cards. So if you have a UHS 2 memory card like I do for my Sony, that is not going to work as well in here. I've heard of people trying to use them and then the camera just kind of crashes out after a little while. So make sure that you have a UHS 1 memory card, and you will still have full access to all of the different video codecs and burst rates and all those other things. The UHS 1 memory card is going to be fast enough for all of that. I'm excited that I got a free one here. I'm a little worried about what pictures might be on this SD card. We'll find out soon enough. Ask me in the comments and maybe I'll let you know once I take a look. But we'll just we'll put that back in for now, and then we'll continue our journey around the camera. So let's see, we'll go around top here. Now this, actually, no, let's go around back because I think top is the most controversial part of this whole camera. But around back, we've got some typical buttons here. We've got your trash can button right here. You've got a mic port around back, which is very interesting. I haven't had personally a camera that has the mic port in the back here. Generally, the mic port's gonna be on the side, but I kind of like that it's here because that means when you have a microphone plugged in, it's not gonna get in the way of your flippy screen. So if you oftentimes have plugs over here, it's gonna block your screen. So you're not gonna be able to see yourself as well for framing and things like that. So I kind of like that they put the mic port there. I'll have to test it out and see how it actually feels to use. Aside from that, we have a playback button right here. We have our auto exposure and autofocus lock button here, which is fine. I like to use personally back button focusing a lot. And so it's nice to have a button that's available quickly and easily to press with my thumb when I'm doing that. This is a bit of an odd place, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. Aside from that, we have a joystick here, which is great. Love having a joystick. Our menu and of course, OK button, our display and back button, and a little Bluetooth icon right here. And then there is a bit of a thumb grip here. I don't know how well you can see that, but that gives you a little bit of purchase here, because I can tell you right now, this thing is not very easy to grip. So I definitely recommend a wrist strap or maybe an added on grip, but you do have a little bit of a ledge here for your thumb to go. And then of course you have the fully articulating flippy outie screen, which is great. And the ports on here in order to plug in the Fujifilm fan that you can get to help this for longer recording times and things like that. I personally don't recommend buying that Fujifilm fan. It's a bit too pricey for me. I think it's like $200 or something like that. There is a Ulanzi fan that is absolutely fantastic and will work with many different types of camera and is a fifth of the price. I'll link to that in the description box for you. But if you're going to get a fan, I haven't obviously tested the Ulanzi one with this just yet, but that would be the one I would lean towards. But okay, there is the back side of the camera. And on the top is where it gets very interesting here. Now, starting from this side, we'll go with the record button that you have here, which I always also map to the shutter button for video. So you can press this to record, or you can remap it to your shutter button if you want to. You have a dial here, which is probably going to be like shutter speed or maybe exposure compensation. You can probably reassign that. There's your Q button, which is going to give you your quick menu access. It's a bit difficult to hit, I'm not going to lie, but it is right there for you. Oh, also you have your on-off switch right here, which is fine. I would like it if that switch kind of came out a bit more and was easier to flip. That is kind of tucked away there. Then you have kind of your PASM, or as I like to call it, your spam dial, where you can switch between all your different priority modes, your aperture, shutter speed, etc. Auto, there's a vlog mode on here. You also have 4 different custom modes and a filter mode, which I don't even know who uses this filter mode, but it's there if you want it. Then of course you have your hot shoe, which this came with a hot shoe cover. I don't think they normally do. So maybe this was whoever had this last left a hot shoe cover on here, but you do have the hot shoe, some microphones up top, and over on the far side here, you have your film simulation dial, which to me feels like a bit of a waste. You know, you could toggle through your film simulations really with any dial in the software. So to have an actual physical dial exclusively dedicated to film simulations is a bit odd. I get it though. This is aimed more at beginners, people that are new to the Fujifilm system. Of course, it's their, I think, least expensive camera that they make. So I understand that they're trying to bring people into the concept of film simulations, and the easiest way to do that is to just give them a dedicated dial. But I would really like if this was something that could be reprogrammed. But this is not a full review of this camera. This is literally just an unboxing and kind of overview. I will say I am pleased with what I'm seeing so far with the Fujifilm X-M5. It is definitely smaller than I anticipated. I wonder how that will hold up after, you know, a few days or maybe a few weeks of using this. If you want to see a full review of all of my thoughts of this camera after I've had it for a couple weeks, definitely let me know in the comments below. I am going to link to where I was able to find this camera in case you want to see if you can get lucky and get one for yourself. And maybe in a few days, I'll do another video about the top 5 accessories I think you should be picking up for your Fujifilm X-M5. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, if you want to see any of those videos that I have coming out very soon, make sure you subscribe. All right, I'll catch you in the next one. Be good.